Y'all wanna know how to make a paper crumple transition? Y'all don't know what a paper crumple transition is? Well, I'm about to show you. Today I'm gonna be photographing down onto a plane of glass that has a green piece of poster board lit beneath it. So one of the transitions that I use the most is the paper crumple. That's what we're about to do. I'm gonna show you my process in Dragon Frame. Let's start with this first frame. For the second frame, I don't think I need to do anything also. So we go on straight into another. Now for this next one, I want to barely do anything. I'm just gonna... So for the next one, I want to start seeing some crumple shadows. So I'm just gonna take this. Let's get a little bit more dramatic. I want to work with that same wrinkle that I started before because we want to accentuate that further. And I'm going to see if I can get some other action going on here too. All I'm looking at is the edges of the paper, where that's lining up. And I'm also taking into account where that wrinkle started before, and that those wrinkles are, generally speaking, in the same sort of place. Doesn't have to be exact because we're going 12 frames a second. All right, now let's really dive into it. I'm gonna use two hands. Just feel these wrinkles. Just start crinkling them up right there like that. There's a Wrinkletown massacre in the middle right there. Now our next frame, we need to really start compacting this thing now. Now we're gonna let it bunch up. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it like that. Next, I'm following, see, each time I'm trying to follow the same wrinkle crinkle patterns. So that way, it will appear as a somewhat fluid animated motion. I think it needs to start balling up. I think the only thing to keep into account is which direction is it crinkling and making sure our ball is landing in that right direction. Now, if we wanted this ball to just disappear, what we could start doing is tearing off pieces of this paper ball. Or the other option would be to maybe make the ball roll down. I like the idea of making it disappear, so let's do that. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna tear this sheet of paper in half. You know I love to tear some stuff, baby. And just make sure it is somewhat in the same spot it was before. Yeah. And we want this thing to just disappear out of existence. So I'm going to keep that process up. Tearing this up, making it smaller and smaller. And you notice I'm not using onion skins. I hardly ever use onion skins. I prefer to just look at the previous frame and look at this frame. Because sometimes I get too distracted. Tear and ball. Tinier and tinier. There we go. And we're eventually going to just get to the point where we tear this thing out of existence. Right now it's a little spitball. Look at that little spitball. I think by the next one, we're going to basically just have a tiny little paper dot. I'm going to do one last little itty bitty tear, little itty bitty, and we are done. Let's play that back and see how that looks. I like the way that looks. Now let's go and key out the green screen so we have an alpha channel there, and that way we can place this as a transition between two parts of video or animation or whatever we want to use it for. Let's go create a new Adobe After Effects project file. I am most familiar with After Effects, so to be most effective and efficient in this tutorial, that's what I'm going to show y'all how to do it in. New project file. I'm going to import what I just photographed in DragonFrame. You notice up here it's going to tell you the frame rate it was imported at. Now, in your settings, you can designate what frame rate you import things at. Yeah, sequence footage. I have it set to 12 frames per second because that's what I've been working with a lot lately. So what we're going to do now is use key light to key out the green parts. So I go into effects, keying, key light. And we want to go to the screen color. And this is where we're going to pick, in my experience, the lightest color green we see. What we want to do is in our view, right now it's showing us the key, the final results. We want to go to screen matte. This is going to give us a better picture of what we're actually keying out. And what we're keying shows up as the black. And what isn't being keyed shows up as the white. So I'm going to start by going to the screen gain and cranking that up a bit. And just by cranking that a little bit, you can see we've gotten rid of a lot of these nasties. And one of the last steps I'm going to do is I'm going to create a garbage matte. And I'm going to go to the pen tool up here. And with the pen tool, I'm going to do rough, loose outline around the edges of this paper. Looking pretty good. So now I want to make a mask keyframe. So you can hit the M button to do that. I click this little stopwatch to make the keyframe there. And see, once you've made a keyframe, if you're moving forward within your timeline, you don't need to make another one. It'll automatically make it when you adjust. There we go. And then for our last frame, I'm just going to pull it back and get rid of it because that was our blank frame. Now I'm going to go over to my view and go back to final results. And this is all looking pretty yippee skippy if you ask me. Let's export this thing. Okay, let's hit render. Done. Now you can take this that you just exported with the alpha and use it in whatever video editing application you use, whether that's Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, and just place the layer above whatever video layer you're trying to transition. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this. If you want more details and to see a little bit more in depth, y'all should go check out my Patreon page. Tell you what, you like this, why don't you give it a like? And if you dig this content, why don't you subscribe so you can see more? Till next time, y'all keep it real and keep that paper crumpling.